Okay, morning everyone. We're Packed.House. You're all very welcome to our first travel webinar. We ran a number of webinars over the last couple of months, and this is our first one in the travel space. So we're very excited to bring it to you today. This webinar is titled "Staycation Ireland: How Can Brands Capitalise?" So from our side today, we've Ailish Smith, who's head of marketing and research at Packed.House. We've Noel Murtagh, who's performance director at Packed.House, and my name is Mark. I'm head of revenue here in Packed.House, working close with the guys. So I'm sure we'll all agree this summer has been the most peculiar summer we've all had in terms of holidays, taking breaks, taking time off, and very much so for marketeers looking to speak to Irish holidaymakers. So today we're really excited to be sharing some research that we put together from entertainment.ie. Entertainment.ie is one of Ireland's biggest and most long-standing entertainment platforms. So what we've done is we've captivated a lot of research from a travel focus across our audience. And we're also going to look at this new staycation audience and what does that mean for brands, and then look at some of the strategies and how marketeers can speak to this audience in the right manner at the right time, in the right place. And so everyone on this webinar, all brands are going to receive a 20% discount for a travel campaign that can be used anytime this year. And one lucky brand are going to win a free campaign worth €5,000. So this webinar is being recorded. So when we're following up with you with the recording, we'll get in touch with how you can claim your 20% discount. And we'll also get in touch with the winner of the €5,000 campaign. There'll be time for questions at the end, but if anyone has any questions, please do input them into the comment box and we'll come back to you. Hope you all find this really informative. I'm now going to hand you over to Ailish Smith, who's going to talk you through the research. Thanks. Over to you, Ailish.
Thanks, Mark. I'm sure many of you are wondering why we have launched holiday research so late. Obviously, due to the macro economy around us at the moment and lockdown restrictions, this has been a very different summer to the traditional summer months we are used to. This is our second piece of big research since March. We are continuously analysing the changes in our readers' consumption patterns to better serve them with content that is relevant to them. We've also just launched our new campaign on entertainment.ie and that you may have seen on TV. We Hate Boring, which is live on RTE and TG Cahir at the moment, and it's across on-site and social. The purpose of the campaign is to place entertainment.ie as the place where boredom doesn't exist. We aim consistently to solve our readers' boredoms, and holidays fit perfectly in here. We ran this research at the end of July. We received over 1,000 complete surveys who answered 21 questions. Out of the respondents, 87% said they're still planning on going on holiday this year, but 3 in 5 people had nothing booked at the time of the survey. Out of the small portion of people who said no to going on holidays this year, the reasons they cited were, number 1 was the safety measures around COVID that would be put in place. 2, they were worried about COVID. 3 was the personal finances, and 4 was accommodation prices being too high. Accommodation prices comes further on in the research as well. We talk about it more. We're also conscious we ran this research in July and wanted to bring you some real-time stats for today. Over the last 10 days through our DMP, we have run an on-site poll asking readers 2 questions: are they planning on going on holidays, and whether they are planning a staycation or going abroad. The poll is connected to our DMP and a new staycation audience has been created. If you avail of your new travel and discount that the guides are offering, you can target this campaign or this audience. And I will explain more about this later on. So out of those who said yes, over 1,000 people, over 1,300 people said yes, that they're planning going on a holiday, and over 1,000 people said they are planning a staycation. Only a few hundred said no to both those questions. So when are they planning on going? Obviously, at the time of the research, 27% said July. The majority of people said August, followed closely by September into October. And just remember that 3 in 5 people still had nothing booked at the time of this research. This leads on to also whether they will go, when they will go abroad again. 55% of people said they would travel abroad next year, 15% said not until the end of the year, and 13% said not until there's a vaccine. Thinking of the audience behaviours, we asked them how long they were going to go away for. 56% said a weekend, 44% said 1 week. 45% are planning a few weekend breaks, making them a very spontaneous pick up and go type audience. And 31% are planning a mix of weekends and weeks away. Again, who you're going to go on holidays with, we asked this question. Traditionally, when we look, if we had seen that majority of people had said that they're going on weekends, we would have thought that would have been with friends. But actually, that behaviour has shifted into partners and families. As I said before, they are much more spontaneous type audience now. They've totally shifted to just packing up the car and going away. Where are they planning or have they booked to stay? Hotels come out really strongly here at 76%. This also continues on to hotels coming in strongly when we asked how they're going to book or have they booked accommodation with. 61% have booked directly with hotels. Next was Booking.com and then Airbnb a good bit behind there. This does reflect maybe a good type of behaviour in terms of the Irish audience trying to support local businesses, which again, I will touch on a bit more later on. What is the biggest influence in picking your accommodation? Price was number one here. As we said, the reasons why at the start, why people didn't go on holidays. Number four was price of accommodation. And this is still the biggest influence on those, on everyone as well. We did think COVID measures would be a lot higher here, but they were only at 18%, followed closely by facilities and parks. And then also we asked what type of money people are planning and budgeting this year. 75% said they were planning between 500 to 2,000 euro this year on holidays. What county was the most popular? Kerry, probably no big surprises, was the highest here, followed by the Gardens of Ireland and Wicklow, closely by Galway. Entertainment.ie has a really strong presence in all these counties as well and can reach audiences very well. What type of holidays? I think due to the stress over the last few months, 72% of people said they enjoy relaxing breaks, followed by spa breaks, romantic breaks, and family breaks. This also is reflective of the audience when we looked at the fact that 42% of families were going away. What type of tourist attraction would you most like to visit in Ireland? No surprise when you see a photo like this behind me of the Aran Islands, that 25% of people said the Aran Islands, followed closely by the Ring of Kerry, Giant's Causeway and Cliffs of Moher. So just to summarise on our insights here, 87% of our readers who completed this survey are planning on going on holiday this year. 61% have yet to book. 88% are planning to do a staycation. Hotels come out really strongly. They're either planning or have booked with hotels and they're booking directly with them. They're spontaneous, they're ready to go, and 56% are going away on weekends and 31% are picking random weekends and weeks. Surprisingly, COVID restrictions were not as high as we thought they would be in terms of influences in choosing accommodation, but price was still biggest here and cash is still king. Following on, 93% are planning on going away in August and September. So a really engaging audience can be targeted over the next few weeks. Relaxing breaks come out strongest and 55% said they won't travel abroad until next year. Aran Islands was the top tourist attraction and Kerry was the biggest county, and 75% are planning on spending between 500 to 2,000 euro on holidays this year. So now I'm going to hand you over to Niall, who'll take you further on the research.
Thank you, Ailish, and good morning, everyone. So I'll be talking a little bit about how you can target this audience, this huge audience of travel intenders with cash on hip, both on entertainment.ie, our owned and operated site, and also across multiple sites using travel data, so buying ads programmatically. So looking at the data, I just thought it's worth dwelling on this for a little bit longer, because this is, for me, the key takeaway if I'm an advertiser in the travel space. 87% of people are planning on going on a holiday this year, but 3 in 5 people have nothing booked. So that essentially gives a huge wealth of information to people that there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people, largely in Dublin, going to Donegal, going to Kerry, going to Cork. Families and also people who are couples going on romantic breaks, and these people have a huge amount of disposable income. So if you can attune your offer to this audience using the data, or on entertainment.ie where they've declared that they're yet to actually book, you know that you're going to get a significant return on ad spend. So looking at those two audiences, so I guess it is important to kind of say, well, the data has shown that there are 2 quite clear winners in terms of the audiences that are still going to be going away on holidays. So that's families, and the research is saying that they'll be going away for a week. Time is of the essence. People with school-age kids obviously need to consider the fact that September is looming large. So kind of August and into maybe early September is going to be key for them. They're looking both at renting and a hotel in terms of where they're staying. The local amenities, price, and COVID setup and making sure it's safe are all important. Price being a clear winner out of those three. And they'll be looking at family breaks, relaxing breaks, kind of getting away from it, recharging the batteries after a tricky summer. The other audience, a happy clappy couple here, which is going to be key. They're looking more at like your weekends away. They're going to have a high amount of disposable income for restaurants, bars, really kind of supporting that local community. And if you are in, something that's not directly travel related in terms of hotel, but bars and restaurants, these are going to be a key target of people who are looking to maybe tour around a little bit and look at the local area. So again, price is really important to them, but also like food options. They're going to be the people who will be propping up the local restaurants. Now, what I wanted to touch on, as Mark mentioned there at the outset, that we have conducted a number of webinars, and something which we saw which kind of fits into travel would be like the kind of parent group of e-commerce. So we looked at the Global Web Index, which conducts this massive pieces of research to do across multiple different countries. And they asked people about different questions and whether they're likely to agree with it. And from an Irish point of view, we are 5 times more likely to agree that brands should advertise as normal. So I think that kind of speaks to our attitude of like loving a bargain. Like we want to hear what's going on. We want to, make sure that we're there for sales. But that kind of fits back into what we were saying. So just moving on to the next slide. So this is like what we want to hear about. So again, this kind of ties in quite neatly with travel. They want to hear about people who are running promotions for customers. Now, I am a sucker, even though I am working on both sides of the fence, I am a sucker for a marketing campaign. So at a very specific level, and this is the most anecdotal of evidence, but I'm going to Kerry in a couple of weeks, so fitting in with that broad trend. I'm using my Aer Lingus voucher, which was cancelled from another holiday, to fly into Kerry. And a lot of people don't know that you can fly into Kerry, so that's maybe an advertising campaign in itself to get the awareness of that out there. But I got it on Pig's Back, and so I saw this, here's a great deal, 30% off, buy now, bought it, delighted with myself, what a bargain. And circled back the next day to see, well, how much do they actually pay? And turns out it was quite a lot. But I guess it just kind of speaks to the fact that, people are dying to kind of burst free, and, they're sick of the sight of what's been going out there, their back garden window. So the other two things, which, offering flexible payment terms, and I know obviously, companies like Booking.com would allow you to cancel in advance, and providing practical info tips. So even if, hotels, for instance, I've been on multiple different websites. Some are very much, this is what we have, these are our facilities, book now. Others will give you a bit more of a flavor. Well, actually, these are the things to do in the area around here. So while it's not, directly involved in their own business, it's kind of building more of a picture, keeping people more engaged, and people are obviously interested in that type of thing. So a lot of these are just kind of obvious things that stand to reason. So just to give context to this is around April, May, when we were right in the thick of it, looking at like, well, how are you likely to spend as you come out of it? So again, price is really important, nearly 40% going with the cheapest price. Obviously, while people have been, and again, it sounds like we're contradicting myself, but while people have been saving, have money on hip, maybe job security in the future isn't great. So there might be a little bit of, okay, well, I have this money, but what's my job going to be like in the future? So getting value for money is always going to be important. Interestingly, like 38% of people said that they would be well disposed to people who help people during the outbreak. For instance, I know hotels, not to be zeroing in on hotels, but they would put people up who contracted COVID-19 and kind of would have been seen to helping out from that point of view. So maybe there's a brand story to be told there, and I'll touch on content marketing later on. The other thing is, and I think this is really something that people can play on, you'll see, kind of government campaigns, but supporting local or kind of smaller independent travel advertisers and businesses, that's really going to be something that people can, not pluck at the heartstrings necessarily, but people can understand that like Amazon, they're going to be okay. So are Booking.com, but your local, small cafe or restaurant, those people have been through the mill. And so I think people will be even prepared to pay like a little bit higher maybe to support local advertisers and local businesses, and kind of ensure they're doing their bit as well as enjoying themselves. That they're doing their bit to kind of help out with the cause. So popping on to the next slide, please. So it's totally understandable. In times of plenty, marketing does very well, and then in depressions, one of the first things that gets chopped tends to be advertising. But this is some research that goes back to the early part of the 20th century, right through to the most recent financial crash. They found that if you can manage to maintain spend, obviously while those around you are cutting it, in the next 2 years coming out of the recession, you'll actually grow your market share by 1%. If you're in a fortunate position where you could even increase it, you'll increase your market share by 1.6%. And obviously the converse is true as well, that you will decrease market share and revenue by 0.7% if you have to cut it completely. Now, easy to say, obviously, people need to be paid, and there are more essential things in the very short term, but the stats have borne out that if you do have to take that short-term measure, there is kind of medium-term, reasons for you losing out in business. So that was just an interesting thing that came along. So entertainment.ie, our flagship site, we hate boring. So I think it really ties in perfectly, this site, to the travel industry. So, we always say that we're not Trump, we're not snow, we're not gangland, gruesome slaying, we're not planes crashing into mountains. None of those things. We are an entertainment site. It's okay, I'm staying in. How can I entertain myself at what's on TV or what's the latest and greatest thing that's been streaming? I'm going out. What's going on in terms of festivals, music, what's on in the cinema? They're kind of our calling cards. And obviously what's going on for the weekend. Work is over. I want to see what to spend my money on in my leisure time. That is a very small bunny jump from there to people who are looking to influence people's travel decisions. So ties in very nicely. So yeah, it's a big site in Irish terms, 1.9 million unique users, typically 25 to 44. Now, I could go on for days, which none of us have, talking about the different audience types, but suffice to say that because we can run surveys like Ailish would do as our head of research, where people are declaring their data, declaring that they are still to book their holidays, and we have a data management platform, we can curate our audience like custom to each individual client if we need to, based on who you're looking to target and the marketing message and objectives that you have for your campaign. So popping through, so my first love, display banners, going back about 10 years. So that can be broken down into a takeover like Disney have done here, and typically that's for sales, launches, movie releases, all that type of thing would be very important there. And you just want to get big awareness on a site where there's a lot about kind of movies, TV, going out, all that sort of vibe. What I think would work better in the instance of travel advertisers is looking at a tactical audience. So looking at those people who have said, I've yet to book my holiday, I am going on holiday, and kind of drilling deep into that. Just on the creative side of the house, we have our own creative team, and something which has grown a lot and tends to land very well and do well for brands awareness is creating custom content. So that could be a native article or a series of articles, a video, a podcast, and it's working in a collaborative manner with a brand to find out, okay, what are our audience interested in on entertainment.ie? What is the message your brand wants to get out? How can we build that into a content piece that's going to be consumed and shared and ultimately land awareness and indeed business? So that's something which has become a huge part of digital marketing over the last 5 to 10 years. So moving on then. So programmatic, so this is a world awash with buzzwords and jargon, and I'll try and keep that down to an absolute minimum. Essentially, it is just using data, can't avoid saying the word data, to find travel intender audience that are in market for holidays across multiple sites. Entertainment.ie is a site that we know and love and run, and this is using our in-house trade desk to buy across multiple sites. So I won't go into all the nitty gritty on how great our trade desk is. It is great, suffice to say that. But we can reach all of the Irish adults online across thousands of different premium sites and use this data to make sure that it's like cherry picking, really curating that best audience to ultimately drive business results. So this is all about business results, sales, leads. Typically, that's the calling card for campaigns that we would run through here. So moving on and looking at the different types of data, from from the really, really rich search data. So it's, last minute deals in Donegal, hotels in Cork. You couldn't get any more rich data to say that you were in market for a holiday. You're not just kicking the tires. Through the stuff that is, very strong as well, like purchase receipts. Did you book a hotel in this place last year? Did you fly from Dublin to Kerry last year? No, we did not. I went on a fancy international holiday. Have you been consuming travel content? Have you been downloading travel apps? And we use all of this to build a profile of people. And popping through to the next slide, we can see, literally it's like a menu. It's an a la carte menu, but you can pick and choose. And we would, work with our ops team, and we do the actual work in here. And I would talk to the clients about like, what is your customer audience? So you can look at age, gender, obvious stuff, families with kids in terms of life stage. If you were an upscale hotel, there's people who are in market for that. We can look at household income. Maybe you want to target people that are mid-market, or people who are above 100K, for instance. Looking at that rich search data, and if you've done a lot of work on search with a Google campaign, we can export that keyword list and make it work harder for you, and then detarget those people with a display campaign. And then there's, what kind of emails are people receiving? Are they getting mails from Booking.com and Trivago? Would suggest that they're in market. But you could do something slightly more sophisticated, maybe, where you're looking at conquesting data. So your hotel across the road, you could target people receiving mails from them, and try and usurp them with an offer, for instance. So there's loads that you can do there, but that's just to give a flavor. So having found this audience, so we have this audience, we know that these people are going to be traveling. We run this across a suite of brand safe sites, so a load of household names that you would know and love there, and the longer tail as well of kind of travel and leisure sites that would have a decent Irish audience. Again, our ad traffickers would ensure that that's all very much brand safe. So moving on, so like, what could we actually do here? Now, I've put together like 3 basic packages. Now, the option for unspoken on this slide is probably the one that we would actually do most, where somebody gets in touch with us and they have a budget, they have run days, they have an objective, and based on that, build something a bit more custom. But from the very basic level, like a display banner campaign where we're targeting that audience of travel intenders and entertainment.ie, they've said they want to go on holidays, they have the money. So we would run a campaign, and indeed we have a creative team who can help put banners together, a simple set of assets. So for 250,000 ad views, the cost of that would be 2K. The second version is kind of like a little bit of brand awareness, a little bit of performance. So that's like, again, working with an advertiser, finding out about the company, where does the natural fit between the message you want to go across and the type of content that we know our readers want to consume fit. And that kind of like lands the message. People consume it, people share it, people find out about the brand. And then we kind of run a suite of display assets with that as well. And then finally, this is like hardcore, pure performance. So this is running like a pretty heavy campaign. So 2 million ads using that custom bespoke data across multiple sites, and then blending that in with kind of hardworking display and entertainment.ie, and a competition as well. Like, competitions have always been something that works really well. We can share a database, GDPR compliant, once people opt in after the campaign. So it continues to pay off both during the campaign, where we'll get pixels down and optimize the sales or leads or whatever a client tells us is the objective. But then afterwards, so you'll have your own database, so you can continuously, send them monthly mails and generate sales on into the future. So essentially, that's really it. So I suppose my final message would be, all is not lost. All is not lost. People are still going on holidays. It's been a mad topsy-turvy year, but you can capture these people. From a marketer's point of view, probably more than ever, we know the people are, I use the word captive, but there is a sense, sounds almost malevolent, but people are going on holidays, where they're going, and you can target them. And if you can curate your offer to fit with the research that we have shown, then you stand a great chance of obviously capitalizing on that and making the most of this condensed summer, particularly in the August, September months. So the not insignificant part of the 5K media campaign of people who attended today. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick that at random. We obviously need to see who has indeed attended, and we'll be sending that out to everybody afterwards. So we'll send both this recording we'll send out who actually won, and then obviously separately we'll be getting in touch with those people and working with them on the campaign itself and delivering on what needs to be done. So I don't know at this point, Mark, if there has been any questions or chime in.
First of all, thanks, Ailish. Thanks, Niall. That was great. I hope everyone found that informative. And just to stress, as Niall mentioned, in Packed.House, we're very agile in terms of working with brands and packages and budgets, all shapes and sizes. So those 3 packages there, they're just a rough guide of what we can do. So we had one question from Amy, which I've gone back on the sample size. So the sample size was 1,167. So I'm not sure if anyone else has any questions now, but if you want to mull it over and maybe sleep on it and come back to us, it's Niall at Packed.House or Ailish at Packed.House, or I'm on Mark at Packed.House. Keeping it all very simple, and we'll come back to you guys with any questions. But as Niall said, we'll be in touch. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. I know everyone's very busy at the moment.
Oh, there's I think a question coming in.
Yes, we'll send on slides. Yeah, absolutely. So guys, yes, I don't know if anyone else has anything now, but if not, thank you very much and have a great day.
Thanks everybody.
Cheers.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.